She accidentally dialed a Mafia boss. Discover the incredible life-changing twists that followed. Claire never expected that dialing a number on a dreary Tuesday night would change everything. Her breath was short, heart racing as she hit the call button, setting the scene in her tiny, cluttered kitchen. The voices of her kids, Emma and Jake, echoed in the background, each laugh a reminder of the joy her late husband once brought. She was hustling, scrubbing dishes, wiping crumbs, life wrestling her down. But hope shimmered at the edges, a community event she dreamed of to give her children and others a brighter tomorrow. All she needed was a little inspiration. Hello, a smooth voice interrupted her thoughts. She hadn't dialed the community organizer's number. It must be a mistake. However, she found herself spilling her heart, describing her grief and tireless fight to hold her family together. It felt cathartic, like a balm on her aching soul. Struggling to keep food on the table while cleaning houses by day and working nights as a waitress, she painted a vivid picture of resilience. With a catching breath, she mentioned her dream of a park where kids could play safely, a space to heal old wounds in their neighborhood. What she didn't expect was that the man on the other end of the call was none other than Tony the Tank Romano, a notorious mafia boss. He listened intently, captivated by her words. "I can help you," he offered coolly. His offer was something Claire couldn't fathom. Resources to bring her community event to life? It seemed like a fairy tale, but with dark undertones. Could she risk everything to accept from someone like him? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. In the days that followed, Claire worked tirelessly, weaving Tony's help into her plans while battling growing whispers in the community. The park was slowly transforming, bright swings and slides breathing life back into forgotten spaces. But rumors began to fly like wildfire. What is she doing associated with him? Is that a mafia playground? She felt the sting of accusations aimed at her family. Emma and Jake, her bright stars, faced the brunt of it. Bullying at school started, fueled by gossip, leaving Claire with an aching heart and a tight knot in her stomach. How could she protect her kids without cutting ties with this newfound hope? As they faced taunts and whispers that echoed in her mind, the internal battle began. The very thing that had the potential to foster change might tear her family apart. She teetered on the edge of a decision that would define not just her future, but the fabric of her children's lives. Claire found herself questioning everything. Could she reconcile her dreams of a better community with the costs of her choices? The pain etched on Emma's face and the anger simmering in Jake's eyes reflected her turmoil. As Claire stood on the brink of a decision, the shadows of doubt loomed large. Would she succumb to the allure of the Mafia's backing, or fight for integrity amidst chaos? The weight of it all pressed down like a heavy fog, and a single truth shone bright. Her children needed her now more than ever. How could she possibly reconcile the conflicting paths before her? The answer seemed just out of reach. Claire stood on the threshold of change, her hands trembling as she leaned against the kitchen counter. The demands of the day loomed large, each unfinished project a reminder of her uphill battle. She took a deep breath, the scent of lemon dish soap mixing with the faint smell of the homemade lasagna cooling on the stove. It was a comforting aroma that contrasted sharply with the storm brewing inside her heart. Emma and Jake were in the living room, bouncing between laughter and tears, their world peppered with uncertainty, just as hers was. Claire's thoughts often drifted to their laughter. It felt different now, tinged with anxiety from the whispers that followed them like shadows. "Mom, why are they saying those things?" Emma had asked with wide, innocent eyes just days ago. Claire had been at a loss for words. The park project sparked some excitement in the kids, a place to play, to feel free again. But the chaos around her made it nearly impossible to enjoy it. Claire wiped her hands on a dish towel and picked up her phone. She hesitated, staring at the screen. The last time she had called Tony, her heart raced. Should she reach out again? Just then, a soft knock interrupted her thoughts. It was Mrs. Reynolds from next door, a silver-haired woman with a reputation for gossip. "Claire, can we talk?" she said, and Claire's stomach sank. They sat in the dim light of the kitchen, the weight of Mrs. Reynolds' judgment heavier than the curtains themselves. "I just wanted to check on you and the kids, dear," she started, her tone deceptively sweet. "I'm worried. People are talking, you know? Association with, well, someone like him? It's not safe." Claire clenched her fists, her nails digging into her palms. "I know what they're saying, Mrs. Reynolds. But you don't understand, he's trying to help. We're building something. A place for everyone in the community." "Helping?" Mrs. Reynolds leaned in, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "You think he'll build a playground for free? This is a man who thrives in darkness. Can you trust him?" The words cut deep. Claire's breath caught in her throat. The questions began to spiral. Could she lean into her mission now without the weight of Tony's influence hanging over her like a shadow? That night, wrapped in a blanket on the couch, vision blurred by tears, Claire replayed the day in her mind. The accidental call that had opened a new door now felt like an albatross around her neck. She wished more than anything that her late husband could guide her through this. "What should I do?" she murmured into the darkness, feeling utterly alone. Driven by desperation, she pulled out her phone again, her heart pounding. One way or another, she needed to make a decision. Would she confront Tony and navigate this tangled mess with him? Could there be a way to maintain the dream while mitigating the fallout? Just then, a text chimed a message from Tony read simply, "We need to talk." Important. Claire's pulse quickened. She stared at the screen, torn between fear and possibility. Little did she know that the decision she was about to make would irrevocably alter the path of her life and her children's future. What if she discovered something that would change everything, something even darker than she could imagine? Claire's heart raced as she stared at the message. The weight of those simple words pressed heavily against her chest. The kitchen felt smaller, walls closing in. She could almost hear the soft whispers of the neighborhood, echoing what Mrs. Reynolds had said. What if he is dangerous? The phone vibrated again, startling her. It was another ping from Tony. It was as if he knew the turmoil in her heart. "Can you meet me at the park?" it read. The very place she had hoped to turn into a sanctuary for her children and others in the community. Almost instinctively, Claire grabbed her coat. She didn't even need to think about it. She just knew that whatever lay ahead was going to matter. A fleeting thought of Emma and Jake filled her mind. Their laughter and innocence grounded her. She had to protect them, but also find a way to make this project work. As she stepped outside, the brisk night air hit her, bringing clarity to her muddled thoughts. The park was a few blocks away, its playground ignoring the darkness that wrapped around it. She walked as if pulled by an unseen force, each step driven by curiosity and dread. Arriving at the park, Claire saw Tony sitting on a bench, his broad silhouette framed by the glow of a single overhead lamp. He looked up when she approached. The shadows danced across his face, revealing a serious expression that felt almost heavy. "Thanks for coming," he said, his voice low. "I know this isn't easy for you." She crossed her arms, uncertainty evident. "What do you want? How can you possibly think we can still work together after everything that's been said?" Tony shifted, taking a deep breath. "I understand the rumors, and they hurt, but I'm here because I want to help you, Claire. There's something you need to know." The way he hesitated made her stomach twist. "What is it?" Anxiety thrummed through her veins like a live wire. "The park project is more than just a playground. It's a community hub, a safe space for kids, just like Emma and Jake. But there's been pushback from people who would rather keep this neighborhood divided." Claire felt her heart sink. "What do you mean by pushback?" "People who would rather see this community fail than come together. I can't explain it all right now, but there are some behind-the-scenes forces at play, figures that want to keep the status quo." The tension tightened in her chest. "And you think reaching out to you is the answer?" "I can help navigate those waters. I can make this happen, but I need your trust." The air was electric, every emotion amplified. Claire was torn, her heart battling her head. Could she trust someone others painted as a villain? What if he was right? Why should I trust you? She pushed, wanting to maintain her agency. He locked eyes with her, the weight of the world reflected in his gaze. Because I've seen what a community can do when everyone works together. And I want the same for you and your kids and for all of us. Claire's walls began to crumble, though still wrapped in skepticism. The light in his eyes ignited something within her. She could almost picture the joyful sounds of children playing, the laughter echoing in the air, a real sense of belonging among them all. Just then, a distant shout pierced the night, pulling her back to the reality of the moment. Claire's heart dropped. What was that? Tony's expression shifted to alarm. I need you to trust me. We can't stay here. It's not safe anymore. Claire followed him, her heart pounding even harder now. She had stepped into a world of uncertainty, one where trust seemed perilously thin. But as they hurried away from the gathering shadows, she couldn't shake the feeling somewhere between fear and hope. A decision lay ahead that could change everything, what secrets would unfold and what dangers awaited. She couldn't help but wonder if the courage to trust could lead to freedom rather than betrayal. Claire and Tony ducked behind a cluster of bushes near the edge of the park, their figures blending into the shadows. Her heart raced, every sound amplified in the silence, the rustle of leaves, the distant hum of cars, and the echoing laughter she had been longing to create. Now, that very laughter felt like a ghost, haunting rather than comforting. What was that shout? Claire whispered urgently, her voice trembling. The night was too still, too eerie. The fear she tried to suppress bubbled to the surface, demanding to be acknowledged. Tony focused on the path ahead, scanning the darkness. There are kids playing nearby. They sometimes get a little rowdy. But the tightness in his jaw told her he wasn't convinced. What if it wasn't kids? What if the words hung heavy between them? Her mind raced through the possibilities. What if the rumors about Tony really meant something? What if he was trouble? He turned to her, earnest, his expression softening. Listen, Claire. We need to stay alert. If what I suspect is true, a few people don't want us working together. They want to intimidate us into backing off the project. Claire's pulse quickened, a mix of anger and worry coursing through her. Why do you care so much about the park? You can walk away from all this. A shadow passed over his face. Because it reminds me of my own childhood. I grew up in a neighborhood where the park was everything. It was a place where we were free, where we learned to dream. His eyes glimmered under the mellow light, and for a moment, Claire found herself staring, perhaps searching for any hint of deception. Before she could say anything else, a group of figures emerged from the dim light of the street lamp, their voices suddenly piercing the quiet. Told you to keep an eye on this place. One man's gruff voice floated toward them. Claire felt the hairs on her neck stand up. Tony's hand wrapped around her wrist, pulling her deeper into the bushes. Stay quiet, he murmured. If those were the people he had mentioned, it was clear they were looking for something, and it was probably them. Claire held her breath, straining to hear. If they keep pushing, we'll have to show them what happens when you don't listen. A chill raced down Claire's spine. She exchanged a wide-eyed glance with Tony. There was no misunderstanding now. This was a threat swirling dangerously close to their dreams. But what can we do? Claire whispered, the weight of despair clouding her thoughts. How do we fight against something like this? By not giving in. If we back down now, they win. His voice was firm, yet Claire could hear the worry underneath it. It made her heart ache. Eureka struck her hard. It was so simple yet monumental. But what if we flipped the narrative? What if we took this community project to the next level? Instead of hiding, we turn it into something bigger, something that can stand against whatever they throw at us. Tony's gaze softened, a flicker of surprise dancing in his eyes. You really think the community would rally behind us? With everything that's going on? I believe they'll respond to hope if we give them a reason. Claire felt a swell of determination replace her fear. We could host a meeting, bring everyone together. Reveal the type of community we aspire to be. Kids playing, parents feeling safe. The group of men grew closer, and Claire's heartbeat quickened again. We don't have much time. Tony nodded, taking a deep breath, her fiery spirit igniting something in him too. You're right. But first, we need to get out of here. They stepped quietly out of their hiding spot, adrenaline pumping in their veins. Each step felt decisive, a move toward something greater not just for them, but for the entire community. As they hurried down the path, a newfound resolve surged within her. Claire couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. With trust and fear intertwining, could they really outsmart the danger lurking in the shadows? Somewhere above them, the stars began to twinkle, indifferent to the chaos below. Little did they know, a figure on a motorcycle sat parked at the edge of the park watching. The night was electric and everything was about to change. Would Claire's plan rally the community, or would it provoke the very forces they feared? Claire and Tony moved quickly, their hearts pounding as they kept a watchful eye on the park behind them. The world around felt charged, as if the night air was crackling with their urgency. Their breath mingled with anxiety, and every rustle made Claire jump. But there was no turning back. She felt a spark within that pushed her forward, that whispered promises of tomorrow, a tomorrow where the park could be alive again, filled with laughter and hope. As they reached the edge of the park, a burst of adrenaline propelled them forward. "We should find a safe place to talk," Tony said, scanning the area. "We need to strategize how we're going to reach out to the community." Claire nodded, her mind already racing with ideas. "Let us head to the coffee shop. It's open late, and we can sit in a corner." They hurried toward the familiar establishment. The warm glow of the neon sign felt like a beacon in the darkness, comforting in its normalcy amidst the chaos. Inside, the chatter of late-night patrons provided a welcome distraction, a reminder of the life that went on, oblivious to their plight. Once settled in the corner booth with steaming cups of coffee, Claire leaned in closer to Tony, eager to share her thoughts. "What if we create flyers? Something appealing that explains our vision for the park. We can highlight how important it is for everyone, not just us." He met her enthusiasm with a gentle smile. "You always know how to see the brighter side of things." "I like that. But what if the wrong people see our flyers? What if they try to sabotage us?" "We can do this carefully," Claire replied, her resolve hardening like steel. "We can gather support quietly first, build connections with people who care. We need their voices to drown out the threats." Tony nodded, but Claire could still sense the tension in his demeanor. "You're right, Claire. But this can get dangerous. If we're bringing everyone together, I need you to promise me something. Stay safe. Please." Her heart softened at his concern. "Tony, I know the risks. But we can't live in fear anymore. For too long, this community has been silenced. We need to empower them." A moment passed between them, a silent agreement echoing under the buzz of the coffee shop. They would face this together, hand in hand. As they began sketching out plans, an unexpected figure approached their table, a man in a leather jacket, face obscured by shadows. Claire's heart stopped. Was this one of the men from the park? "Tony," the stranger said, voice low and gravelly. "You've stirred some attention." Tony stiffened, and Claire felt panic well up again. "Who are you?" she demanded, forcing her voice to sound steady. The man smirked, leaning closer. "Someone who's not happy about your little project. They want you to back off, or else." Claire's stomach knotted. She glanced at Tony, searching for reassurance, but found fear written across his face. "Now here's the thing," the man continued, unfazed by their concern. "I think you should reconsider your plans. Unless you want your dream to become a nightmare." Claire felt a chill slither up her spine. This was not a warning, it was a threat. Her heart raced again, but a defiant spark lit within her. She wouldn't be intimidated. "What do you think we should do?" Claire challenged, surprising herself with her boldness. The man straightened up, raising an eyebrow at her audacity. "Get smart about who you're dealing with. You may be resilient, but there are forces at play that you can't understand." As he walked away, the weight of his words lingered in the air, dense and suffocating. Claire turned to Tony, determination mingling with trepidation. "We need to do this now. It's not just about the park anymore. We're fighting for our lives." Tony nodded, a spark returning to his eyes. "Then let us get started. But this time, we need to be one step ahead." With the taste of fear driving them, They finished planning their community meeting, fueling their resolve. Unbeknownst to them, the figure on the motorcycle watched from a distance, intrigued. Every decision they made would trigger a chain reaction, one that neither Claire nor Tony could yet foresee. As they prepared to face the community, little did they know an ally was lurking in the shadows. What other secrets would unfold as they took this monumental step forward? Claire and Tony stepped out of the coffee shop into the cool night, hearts racing with their plans. The street glimmered under the streetlights, making everything feel surreal. Claire's mind buzzed with excitement and fear, alternating between visions of a community united and the threat they had just faced. "Okay, let's south head to the park," Tony suggested, glancing nervously over his shoulder. "It's quiet there, and we can really think things through." The park's entrance loomed ahead, a heavy gate that felt more like a barrier than an invitation. Claire couldn't shake the tightening in her stomach, the warning from that shadowy figure echoing in her ears. Yet, she pushed through. "No more running," she whispered to herself. As they walked, a sense of purpose began to fill her. She imagined the park filled with families, vendors, laughter, everything it had once been before the dark clouds gathered. "We can set up a meeting for Saturday morning. Everyone will be awake and maybe wanting to enjoy a cup of coffee in the park after," Claire envisioned aloud, trying to draw Tony into her enthusiasm. He smiled at her optimism, but his eyes betrayed an inkling of worry. "What if we get there and someone else already waiting for us?" "We can take different routes to avoid being followed," she countered, determination replacing her earlier hesitation. "We're not going to let them intimidate us. Not anymore." When they reached the park, the shadows seemed deeper, the trees swaying like silent sentinels. They found a bench illuminated by a pale moon, inviting them to sit. Claire felt comforted by the familiar surroundings, yet the danger lingered like an unshakable fog. "Do you think anyone else will show up?" Tony asked, his voice low, as though speaking louder would bring threats spiraling down upon them. "They will. They have to care enough to show," Claire replied, pulling out her notebook. She flipped to a fresh page, ready to jot down ideas for the flyers. The rustle of the pages felt like the only noise in the world. Suddenly, a noise broke through the stillness, a soft rustling, then footsteps crunching on the gravel path. Claire's heart leaped into her throat. "Did you hear that?" "Yeah." Tony stood up sharply, instinctively stepping in front of Claire. "I'll check it out." "Wait." But before she could grab his arm, he was already advancing into the shadows. "Stay behind me," he called back, voice firm but edged with concern. Claire felt a surge of fear. What if it was someone dangerous? What if? But then another thought crashed through her mind. What if it was someone who understood their fight? "Who was there?" Tony demanded, voice steady, but Claire could hear the tremor beneath. The night felt heavy, thick with secrets unraveling. From the darkness, a woman emerged. She was tall, with wild curly hair that cascaded like a storm around her face. Yet it was her eyes that drew Claire in, sharp and determined, like a lighthouse guiding through chaos. "I'm here to help," the woman said, her voice bold. "I know what you're up against. I want to stand with you." Claire blinked, astonished. "You know about the park?" "Yes, and I know about that man who threatened you," the woman replied, stepping closer. "I'm not just looking out for this park. I'm looking out for community safety. The grip these people have goes far beyond what you realize." Tony stepped back, his defensive stance melting into intrigue. "What do you mean?" The woman looked from Tony to Claire, her eyes glistening with resolve. "There's more to this than meets the eye. They're not just trying to scare you away. They want something we can't afford to lose." Claire's heart raced. The stakes were higher than she thought, and the warmth she felt just moments ago shifted into a cold sweat of realization. "What do you know?" As the woman shared her story, Claire felt the pulse of challenge anew. This was much bigger than the park. It felt like they were plunging into something that could either spark change or consume them whole. Before she knew it, Claire was on the edge of a decision, a choice that could hold her community's fate in her hands. Every word came with a weight she hadn't anticipated. "Are you ready for this?" the woman asked, each word hitting hard. Claire glanced at Tony, seeing the flicker of fear but also the fierceness of hope. But one question lingered. How deep would they have to dive to save everything they loved? As Claire nodded, feeling the gravity of the moment. She couldn't shake off the sensation that they were standing on the brink of something monumental, something that could change everything. What lay ahead was unclear, but one thing was undeniable. Their fight had just begun. The woman stepped forward, her presence undeniable, and the air around them felt electric. "My name is Lila," she said, her voice steady. "I've been watching what's been happening in this community. This isn't just a battle for the park, it's a fight for our very way of life." Claire felt an urgent pull to listen. The way Lila spoke, it was as if she held the key to unlocking a door they hadn't even realized existed. Claire tried to take a deep breath, but it felt like her lungs were caught in a whirlwind. "What do you mean?" Tony asked, his eyes narrowing as he searched Lila's expression. "What is really going on?" Lila glanced around as if she expected someone to leap out from the shadows. "There are forces at play that you can't begin to comprehend. This isn't just about controlling the park, it's about power. If they can seize control of this community, it will ripple out far beyond these streets." "But how do you know this?" Claire pressed, the weight of Lila's words settling heavy in her chest. "I used to be part of their operation," Lila admitted, the admission spilling from her like a secret that had been locked away for too long. "I broke free, but I still have connections and enemies." She hesitated, the gravity of her past flashing in her eyes. "They've been eyeing your group. If you rally the community, they'll come after you. But if you're smart, you can turn this around." A chill ran down Claire's spine. She had imagined threats, but now it felt real. "So what do we do?" she asked, her voice a mix of fear and determination. "You need to meet with others," Lila said, urgency igniting her tone. "This Saturday, while you're gathering in the park, there might be a way to catch them off guard. Use their own tactics against them." "What tactics?" Tony's brow furrowed, his protective instincts flaring up. "This sounds dangerous." "Everything about this is dangerous," Lila replied, her voice rising. "But we can't stand by any longer. You're already in it. You need allies. I know people who'll support you, but it has to be done right. It's your community. They need to see your strength." Claire glanced at Tony, feeling the weight of their decision. "How do we get these allies?" she asked Lila, her determination igniting once more. "Spread the word. Talk to others who care about this community, who want to take back what is rightfully theirs. Don't focus on fear, focus on unity." Lila paused, locking her gaze onto Claire. "This will be hard. You'll face pushback, and you might feel isolated, but remember, a community that stands together is unbreakable." That feeling of hope began to swell in Claire's chest. "We can do this, right?" Tony frowned, but Claire could see the hint of belief bubbling up inside him. "Yeah, but no buts," Lila interjected firmly. "If you want to protect your community, now is the time to stand up. You fight for what you love, or you lose it all." Claire nodded slowly, a wave of determination washing over her. She felt the shift inside herself. She wasn't just a scared girl anymore. She was part of a movement. "Okay, so we plan for Saturday. We get the word out," Claire said, her voice rising with confidence. "Let us make our community hear our voice." "Let us do it together," Lila said, the corners of her lips twitching into a faint smile. As they formulated their plan beneath the moonlight, Claire couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the precipice of something extraordinary. But the looming darkness behind their mission couldn't be ignored. There were whispers of shadowy figures, and she knew they wouldn't stop hunting them just because she had found her resolve. "Will we have to face them?" Tony asked quietly, his expression still filled with worry. "We might," Lila replied, "but remember, we'll have each other." With a plan forming and a possible ally in their corner, Claire felt hope surging back into her veins. They could fight this. They could win, but as they wrapped up their plans and said goodnight, Claire couldn't shake the worry that chased her. What would happen when they finally faced those who sought to control their community? Would they be ready? For now, all she could do was prepare for Saturday, where everything could change. Would they seize their chance or watch everything slip away? The air was thick with anticipation, and in Claire's heart, the fight felt unstoppable. But deep down inside, she couldn't help but wonder, how much were they ready to risk to protect what they loved? The sun rose with a cautious glow, spilling soft light over the town as Claire hurried to spread the word. She felt the flicker of excitement mingled with anxiety, the kind that made her heart race and her palms sweat. With Lila's command ringing in her ears, she approached her neighbors one by one. "Do you want to join us Saturday? We're planning something big for the park," she said to Mrs. Jenkins, who was fussing with her garden. Mrs. Jenkins looked up, the lines of worry etched on her face deepening. "Big? What do you mean, dear? It's not just about the park anymore. It's about standing together fighting for our community." The older woman's frown softened, and Claire saw a flicker of hope in her eyes. "All right, count me in," she said, her voice steadier than before. Claire moved on to the next house, her resolve strengthening with every positive response. She felt like a spark igniting in a dry forest, one that could grow into a roaring fire. Each affirmation she received chipped away at the doubts that lingered in her mind. By midday, Claire found Tony leaning against the fence outside his house. She approached him, excitement bubbling inside her. "I spoke to a bunch of people. They're in," she exclaimed, a bright smile on her face. Tony scratched his head, the worry lines still creasing his brow. "What if it doesn't work? What if they don't show up?" "They will," Claire insisted, almost surprising herself with the conviction in her voice. "They want change just as much as we do. We just need them to see they're not alone." As the two of them stepped into the park later that afternoon, they noticed several familiar faces emerging. They were all families who had lived in the community for years, friends of Claire's growing up, people who had shared birthdays, barbecues, and random Saturday nights sitting under the stars. But beneath the buzz of chatter, there was an undercurrent of tension. Claire felt it in the way people leaned in closer, whispering amongst themselves. A few seemed hesitant, glancing over their shoulders as if expecting someone to appear from the shadows. "Claire!" A voice rang out. It was Danny, a boy from school who had played on the same soccer team. "Are we really going to do this? I heard someone talking about trouble." Claire swallowed hard. "We're going to unite our voices. This isn't just about the park, it's about what we stand for as a community. If we let them intimidate us, we lose everything." Tony shook his head. "But what if we're putting everyone in danger?" "Then we fight back," Claire replied, her voice unwavering. "We aren't just standing around waiting for someone else to decide our fate. We have to show them our strength." As they began to gather, a few more neighbors drifted in. Claire could see expressions shifting from fear to cautious excitement. Maybe Lila was right. They could turn this around. They could find strength together. The atmosphere crackled with energy as more voices joined in, creating a growing thunder of resolve. Claire sensed that even those who had come out of obligation were beginning to feel a spark ignite. But just as the moment seemed to crystallize, a low rumble interrupted the camaraderie. Claire's heart raced as she looked to the entrance of the park. A black car had pulled up, windows tinted dark as midnight. The engine idled ominously, echoing unnervingly, and suddenly it felt like the walls were closing in. "Who is that?" someone whispered, fingers gripping the sides of a picnic table. "They must be here for the park," Danny said, eyes wide with fear. Claire's heart pounded hard against her ribs. Instinctively, she stepped forward, slipping through the crowd as eyes turned to her, apprehension rippling like a wave. This felt like the moment Lila had warned them about, the moment that could shift everything. "Stay together," she shouted, her voice steady yet laced with urgency. "We can't let fear win." But inside, doubts churned. They had rallied so many of their neighbors, yet now everything hung in the balance. Were they truly prepared for what was about to unfold? As the door of the car swung open, revealing a figure emerging from the shadows, Claire took a deep breath. Whatever happened next, it could change everything. What awaited them now? The figure stepped out of the car, and the murmur in the crowd dampened to a tense silence. Claire's heart raced as she strained to make out who it was. The man's black suit contrasted sharply against the muted colors of the park. Even from this distance, Claire felt an unsettling aura surrounding him, confidence mixed with danger. "Stay calm," She whispered to herself, but the words barely settled in her mind. She could see a few parents huddling their kids closer, while others exchanged worried glances. The man adjusted his tie, his movements precise and deliberate. Behind him, two others emerged, keeping their distance as if guarding him against the crowd. Their faces were unreadable, but Claire could sense their muscle and authority. "Who is that?" Claire asked, but her question was swallowed by the crowd, lost among the growing tension. She glanced at Tony, whose face was pale, and Danny, who looked ready to bolt. "I think he's connected to the developers," Tony said, his voice barely above a whisper. "You know, the ones trying to buy out the park. Then we can't back down," Claire replied, a new spark igniting inside her. "We need to show them we're not afraid." Suddenly, the man spoke, his voice deep and commanding. "Ladies and gentlemen," he called out, a smirk dancing on his lips. "I hear there's a movement brewing." Interesting to see so many together. He scanned the crowd, his gaze piercing. "But many of you don't know what you're getting into." Claire felt a chill run down her spine. Ignore him, she thought. This is our moment. She stepped forward, meeting his gaze head-on. "We know exactly what we want. Our community deserves better. This park means everything to us." The crowd behind her stirred, some nodding, others still frozen in place. Claire could feel the weight of their hesitations, but she clenched her fists, summoning the strength within her. "Do you really think you can stop us?" The man continued, unfazed by her challenge. "Things can get messy if they don't go my way." Danny scoffed, moving forward beside Claire. "Your threats don't scare us," he shouted, his voice cracking with bravery. The crowd shifted back, wariness replacing some of that initial excitement. Claire's heart sank. That bravery needed to unite the crowd, not divide it further. The man chuckled darkly. "Bravery is charming, until it isn't." He stepped closer, the eerie probity of his words hanging in the air. Claire couldn't let this escalate. "Enough. We're here for unity, not hostility." She felt the energy shift again, desperate for her neighbors to rally around her. "We're not backing down, and we're not alone." With an unsteady confidence, she turned to the crowd, looking for any sign of solidarity. "Who's with me?" Slowly, hands began to rise. "Count me in." A voice called out from the back. "Let's South take our park back." Another joined. Soon, others followed suit, waving their arms, drawn by Claire's belief. The man's expression darkened. "You don't know what you're asking for." But Claire stood firm, a newfound determination bolstering her spirit. "No, but we're willing to find out." A shift in the crowd began to take hold, voices rising, hearts pounding together in a steady rhythm of defiance. In that moment, something tangible began to form among them, a community bound not by fear, but by resilience. Just as Claire thought they had the upper hand, the man pulled his phone from his pocket. The black car's engine rattled ominously, and he turned to his associates. "I'll give you until the end of the week." His voice was cold, dismissive. "Who do you think you are?" Tony yelled, the echo of their resolve resonating through the park. Claire felt the pulse of the crowd quicken, drowning out the man's dark laughter. "Our own story is just beginning," she blurted, but as she turned back to rally her friends, a flicker of doubt emerged. What danger could he unleash before the week was up? As the car began to roll away, the vacant, threatening presence of the man left behind an unsettling charge in the air. The day had taken a turn, one she never expected, and the fight was far from over. But the question loomed large in her mind: was their community ready to embrace the risks, or would fear break their newfound resolve? What would happen when the week was over? The sun peeked through the clouds on Saturday morning, casting a warm glow over the park. Claire's heart raced with anticipation and nervous energy while she stood at the entrance, feeling the buzz of excitement flutter through the growing crowd. Today was the day they had a chance to transform not just the park, but their entire community. Tony arrived beside her, his expression a mixture of hope and worry. "Are you ready for this?" he asked, tension clear in his voice as he scanned the faces coming together, eyes filled with anticipation. "As ready as I can be," Claire replied, a smile dancing on her lips despite the weight pressing down on her shoulders. We're not backing down. Gradually, familiar faces trickled in, families clutching coffee cups, and friends mingling as laughter broke through the morning air. Claire's heart swelled at the sight. This was what she had hoped for all along, a gathering of voices united for a common cause. But then, she spotted it. The same sleek black car she'd seen on the day of confrontation. Claire's stomach dropped. A sense of urgency wrapped around her, like a tight grip on her heart. "We need to stay alert," she told Tony, her voice low. "They might come after us again." Tony nodded, a determined look in his eyes. "Whatever they throw at us today, we'll be ready." As the park filled with energy, Claire gathered everyone around the center, a wide, open space where the swings stood rusty and still. She climbed atop an empty picnic table, nerves buzzing, but she focused on the faces around her. She could almost hear her children's laughter, see the joy they would find in her vision coming to life. "Everyone," she called, her voice clear and loud, slicing through the murmur of worried whispers. "Thank you for being here today. This isn't just about the park. This is about all of us coming together to protect our community." Cheers erupted, and Claire's heart raced with each encouraging grin and nod. "We face threats, but we united. Together, we can show them that we won't be intimidated. They want to divide us, but look at this." She gestured to the clustered group of families, neighbors, and friends. Hope glimmered in their eyes. "This park is a symbol of our strength, a foundation for our children, a space to heal and grow." Danny stepped forward, his youthful energy radiating through the air. "We won't back down. We deserve a place to play, to laugh, and to dream." His passion lit a fire in the crowd, and Claire couldn't help but smile at his bravery. Then, a hush fell over the group. The black car had pulled up again, and figures emerged, their presence a stark reminder of what they feared. Claire felt the doubt ripple through the crowd, the fear creeping back in. But she couldn't let it overshadow their resolve. "Stand strong," she shouted, stepping forward. "We are not afraid." The threatening figure from earlier stepped out of the car, his posture rigid and formidable. "You think this is a game?" he called, voice slicing through the crowd. "You won't get far playing with fire." Claire clenched her fists, her heart racing. "You may think you can intimidate us, but we refuse to be silenced. We choose hope, and we choose unity." Just as the tension peaked, Lila stepped beside her, fearless and unyielding. "Do whatever you want," she proclaimed to the man, "but this community stands together against you. You can't break what's unbreakable." Fierce murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd, lifting Claire's spirit. Glancing around, she saw parents nodding, children clutching their siblings' hands. This was it. They were ready to fight back. "You've stirred the pot, and you think you can just walk away?" The man spat, his frustration bubbling to the surface. "You're making a grave mistake." As he turned to leave, anger fueling him further, Claire felt a wave of determination wash over her. "You think this is a mistake?" she shouted back after him. "No, it's a new beginning. We will fill this park with laughter, with life." As the man and his associates retreated to their car, Claire felt a rush of triumph among the crowd. They were standing their ground, not just for the park, but for their community. Together, they were stronger. With the looming threat diminishing in the distance, Claire felt hope coursing through her veins. They had chosen to unite, not just in defiance, but in collective love for the community. She knew the battle was far from over, but right now, she had her family, her friends, and her dream, and that was enough to keep pushing forward. The park was filled with laughter, vibrant voices rising above the trees. Claire's heart swelled with joy, a radiant smile lighting up her face. They had turned fear into strength, cultivating a garden of unity where hope flourished. Together, they would protect their little corner of the world, and in that moment, anything felt possible. Claire's fight had become theirs, a testament to the spirit of community. And in the laughter of her children, in the voices ringing around her, she found the reason to stand tall and embrace the journey ahead, no matter how tangled or tempestuous it might be. As they moved in unison around the park, embracing hope and strength, Claire understood the truth. Her accidental call had set a fire within her, igniting a flame of empowerment that would last far beyond a simple playground. They were ready to chase their dreams, hand in hand, united as one. Now, this is the moment you've been waiting for. You need to subscribe now to catch all the exclusive stories coming your way. This is the moment to show your support. Hit that like button now to feed the algorithm and let your voice be heard. Tell us your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending in the comments. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation. Let's spread the message of hope and unity together.